This is Kasim with Solutions 8, and today I want to teach you how to use the lead form extensions inside of Google Ads. This is a really amazing tool that Google released semi-recently that they wholesale ripped off from Facebook, but we're not going to poke them in the ribs too hard. One thing that I want to preface with is expect a potential dilution in lead quality. And it's a logical evolution. So you have to imagine that you're going to have a slightly higher quality lead if somebody has to click on an ad, go to your page, engage with your media, and then fill out a form on page. That's somebody who has just jumped through the mental and psychological hoops necessary to really determine that you're a potential fit for them. With lead form extensions, now there's nothing wrong with them. I'm not talking you out of them. I just want to help manage expectations. What's going to happen is somebody clicks on an ad and then instantly a form pops up, and that form is potentially pre-populated with their contact information. So the number of decisions they need to make has just slimmed down dramatically. So their propensity for human error, misunderstanding, or even just impulse conversion. Somebody who may or may not have filled out the form on your website, but it's right in front of them. They're just going to click, to convert through. You may see an increase in diluted lead quality. So, or a decrease in lead quality is a smarter way to say that. I'm not telling you not to use it. I think it's a really powerful tool, and I think it's absolutely worth testing. But prepare yourself for that eventuality. Now, if your lead quality decreases by 10%, but your cost per lead decreases by 50%, that's a great problem to have. And I would take that all day, every day. Before I dive any deeper, let me show you what they look like. I'm stealing from WordStream, which I've never felt guilty about. You see the ad, find the CTA. The form opens directly inside of the search ecosystem, so you don't leave this frame, basically. And then your information is pre-populated, or at least as much of it as Google knows, and then you click on Convert. Now, this is mobile only for now. I imagine this will expand over to desktop, would be my expectation anyway. But it's a mobile-only extension, and then there are ways to customize it pretty heavily. Let me just dive into that now. Perfect segue. So just so you know how I got here, inside of your campaign, you're going to go to Ads and Extensions, select Extensions, and then bam, it lends us, and you can see all the extensions that we have built out. Click our little plus bubble, and then you're going to select Lead Form Extension, which is still in beta. And that's just Google's really friendly way of saying, hey, this might screw up. Select the campaigns that you want this to apply to. And now the decision-making starts. So first, and I will say this is not the least important decision that you're going to make. A lot of people just kind of phone this one in. The CTA that you choose is going to have a potentially dramatic impact on your click-through, on the number of people that are willing to engage with this. So don't just default to Google's default here, which is Learn More. I think Learn More is a really soft CTA. It's not very compelling. Choose whatever applies best to your business. So for instance, we do Google Ads management for people. So the very first thing that we generally do is an action plan, which is our version of an evaluation, but it's a little bit more than that, because we let them know, here's what's wrong, and then here's also what we're going to do to fix it. So I think a couple of things that I could use here. I could probably say apply now. I could definitely say sign up. Could probably say get offer. I'm going to say sign up. I don't like get offer because that's a little too commercial. Get offer might mean to somebody that you're actually making the purchase right when you click on that button, and that's not necessarily what they want to do. If you're doing any level of scheduling, Book Now is a great call to action. If you're giving away a lead magnet, download works the best. I don't like subscribe at all, ever, because subscribe to me has always meant let me spam you. Contact us is a little generic, but at a minimum, you're at least letting them know that they're making that contact connection. So where I don't like contact us, I prefer it to Learn More. Sign up is great, especially if you have something that is sign up applicable, kind of like an action plan. Apply now is awesome if there's some scarcity involved. This would be great for like a mortgage broker. And then, get quote, again, depending on your industry, if you were like a managed service provider, for instance. So I'm going to go sign up. My extension text, let's say, get a free Google Ads action. I'm not going to have enough room. So same rules apply here in your extension text. If I try to make all of this caps or use too much punctuation, my expectation is Google's probably going to penalize me. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just going to play by the rules because they're pretty consistent as far as that's concerned. I might, toy around with this later, but this is good enough for now. Spend some time on our form. So the headline here, we want to be really descriptive with what they're going to receive, but we're limited to 30 characters. Realize, just a moment, please, that they're not going to see the form unless they click this button. So here's what it looks like. They're going to see my agency, and then it's going to say free Google Ads action plan, sign up. And you might even, now that you see it visually, you might want to play with what you have here. If I wanted to apply some scarcity to this, I might say apply now, but sign up for me is good. So then once they click on this button, then the form opens. And inside the form, we can say receive a free Google Ads. And you think I would have known that that wasn't going to fix. I just tried to do this. I don't want to replicate my extension text, but I also don't want to sit here and try to be creative with you on the video. So forgive me for my lack of creativity, and let's just fly with what we've got. But let's add our name. And if you have room, you might try to do something like that. Inside your character limits, there's no reason not to give them the opportunity to just go straight to your website if that's something that they're interested in doing. It depends on what you're doing with your lead form. I would probably prefer this a little bit, because if somebody wanting to do more research, that to me is a good thing, even if it means that they don't convert, because then they've potentially qualified themselves out. We'll do a description, which I already have one that we use for action plans. So receive a 15-plus page evaluation and action plan of your existing Google Ads campaign, completely free of cost or obligation. All of our evaluations are completed by a senior member of our strategy team. I'm doing a couple of things here. I'm letting them know exactly what they're going to get, which for me is really important. If somebody's opting into anything, especially if they're opting in without much preface, like you're doing inside of lead form extensions, you want to give them as much context as you can afford. So I like applying some specificity here. And if you have the luxury of doing that in your own business, I'd recommend it. 15 plus pages, for instance, I think that's really compelling. I like saying evaluation and action plan because this sets me apart from my competition. Most of my competitors do an evaluation, and most of them just plug it into some app that they lease. And the problem with that is an evaluation is just a long list of everything that's wrong. You want more than that if you want to run Google Ads. So I'm going to give you the same list of everything that's wrong, but then also a list of how we would fix it, which is the action plan. So if there's a way for you to differentiate yourself from your competitors right out of the gate, you've got 200 characters to do it. But again, I mean, you can see how I did that inside of 200 characters. I say Google Ads as often as I possibly can because we get a lot of just generic PPC leads, which is not what I want. I don't want to run your Facebook if I haven't already been running your Google. Here's some objection hurdling, free of cost or obligation. And then here's a quick, authority building. All of our evaluations are completed by a senior member of our strategy team. Done a couple things here too. I let you know that you're going to get real value. And I also let you know that I'm big enough to have senior members of our strategy team, which, some Google Ads agencies are just a kid working out of their basement. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So you can do so much in 200 characters. Take the time to build this out because this is going to be part of what dictates whether or not they convert. So hopefully I didn't bang that drum too hard. Forgive me if I did. I'm not trying to soapbox on you. You can have up to 10 questions. This gets really interesting. So when you select name, and you'll want name because in order to email them at all and be Ken Spam Act compliant, you have to have their name. I don't like first and last name separated. And the reason I don't like that, I think this is a HubSpot statistic, but every form field that you add decreases conversions by up to 11%. So if you add first and last name versus just full name, in theory, you just decrease the number of people that are going to convert. I also don't like the way that Google phrased this, but we can't change the phrasing, which is really frustrating, by the way. I understand why they're doing what they're doing, but they're inhibiting your ability to customize this at all. So I would select full name, phone number, email. I don't like not asking for phone numbers because my experience has been we get more opt-ins that are non-engagers. So I'd rather decrease the number of opt-ins and actually have the ability to reach out to this person. And because it's being completed inside of Google's lead form extensions, there's a high likelihood that the phone number is pre-populated with their real phone number because Google has that information. And they're not going to go through and, I think it would be really difficult for somebody to back up and give you a fake number as opposed to the normal forms where a phone number is required and then they fill out a fake number. Don't ask for information you don't need to qualify the lead. Now, sometimes you absolutely for our real estate investment campaign, we were asking for zip code because we needed to know where to route it. The sales team was geographically based, of course, and so we couldn't do anything with the lead without the zip code. But I mean, if you're same thing, but internationally based, you might ask for the country. Otherwise, I'd caution you against having too robust of a form. The exception to that rule is if you are getting too many leads and you want to start to kind of qualify those leads a little bit. A good way to do that is to add form fields, but I'm going to show you where to do that. I wouldn't do that in contact information. I also don't like the delineation between email and work email. As a matter of fact, even if you just had work email, I don't like that this says work email. There's something about it that we're not used to that nomenclature. And so anytime you trigger a reason for somebody to start thinking more deeply about something as simple as a form field, you're increasing the likelihood that they just choose not to opt in. So email and phone number are nice and generic, and it will give you the, I think, opportunity to increase your conversions. I don't know if there's going to be any difference in Google's ability to pre-fill these form fields. If you choose work email, if Google will use a different email, or even if they have that index, I'm sure they do. So I guess that's something that we'll find out. Company name, job title, work phone number. Again, I would just ask for the phone number. The more questions, this is really interesting. So check this out. Google doesn't let you write your own questions. Instead, it gives you questions by category. So if you're in the auto space, you can see your questions here. Do you own a vehicle? And then we can provide the multiple choice. Now, this gets a little bit more customizable in your ability to provide multiple choice answers, which is, kind of cool. But there's also, I'm really impressed at just how robust this list is, to be honest with you. What size is your company, annual sales volume, education-based, general. This gets a little weird. What service are you interested in? Again, of course, we can go multiple choice. So I might here say Google ads. Maybe I'll say YouTube ads, omni-channel advertising. And again, we can have up to 10. So play around with this. Take a look at what's applicable to you. This is where I would go to add questions if you start seeing way too many leads that just aren't high enough quality, because what this will do is stop them in their tracks. It stops them from being able to convert right out of the gate. We noticed this worked really well with an organization that did debt relief. Debt relief is something that people are pretty desperate for. And we found that they'll just open up every potential vendor and then convert for all of them, hoping that somebody's going to be able to help them, which is, it's difficult to manage that type of lead flow. So adding questions that forces them to be more specific with their needs gives you the opportunity to pre-qualify that lead, and then it also might stop some of those converters that are just not at all qualified. So use this as a pre-qualification opportunity. When I say what service are you interested in, I have people all the time that click on our ads and convert, and they're interested in advertising on an ad channel that we don't manage. So if I say, hey, here's Google, here's YouTube, do you want to go omni-channel? Now at least they're saying, oh, this isn't for me. I want to advertise on AdRoll, which is something that we really don't take care of. So use this to pre-qualify. I'm just going to remove that from now. Privacy policy URL. You have to have a privacy policy to run Google Ads anyway. So you should already have one of these up and running. I imagine this needs to be HTTPS and all that good stuff. But background image. Do not skimp on the background image, because I've got a really cool one. This is going to be the only level of branding you're allowed to do visually inside of this cool little tool. So we've got this image of our action plan that I use for various things that seems to perform really well. But you'll notice how much better it looks now. So, I mean, it's colorful, it's fun, it sort of reinforces what you're getting. I've got a mild logo in there. I use this for other display ads, so I don't know that I would use this exact image for lead form extensions, just because things here are a little small. Some of the words, the logo, my logo might be a little bit bigger. But just to give an example of something that you could do, and then the way that it's now going to look. So you can see who we are, what you're getting, more details. Here are the form fields that we need you to fill out. Not going to be able to mess with Google's disclosure at all, which is tragic, because they sure do lay on the, hey, are you sure you trust these people? They lay that on pretty thick. So we've got our form submission, and then the next thing we do is we want to have our submission message. So keep the headline pretty short. I like thank you. It's nice and straightforward, and my mom was Southern, and she taught me right. So we're going to say thank you. I've got a description written here. Now, again, pro tip: reinforce what is it they're going to get. You break trust. You break the continuity of the experience if if the ad said free evaluation and then the form says free evaluation and then they fill out the stuff that you need for the free evaluation and then the description says thank you. And now part of you is like, well, am I going to get my free evaluation? So what I've done here is we have received your request. So I'm confirming the fact that I have their information, and we'll be in touch shortly to begin the action plan process. So I'm not only letting them know, hey, you're going to get exactly what you opted in for, I'm letting them know this is a process. So there are some steps to this, and I'm sort of preparing them for the fact that they might have to give us access, or we might have a questionnaire for them to fill out, or whatever. Please expect a phone call from a member of our strategy team within 1 business day. So I'm letting them know what's going to happen too. The other reason I like planting the seed, by the way, just a pro tip, is I want to keep them off the phone. So if they're like, oh, okay, somebody's going to call me, maybe they're calling me today. It preps them for maybe answering a phone number that they don't necessarily recognize, and if they're in a hurry, maybe not necessarily calling around to my competitors. So that could potentially be wishful thinking, but at a minimum, just let them know what the very next step is. And then you have a subsequent call to action. Do not waste this. So give them a visit website, and then your call to action website should be specific to this campaign. So if we have a thank you action plan page, I would send them to that page because it tells them, oh, thank you so much for opting into the action plan. It's a video. Thank you so much for opting into the action plan. Here's what's going to happen next. Here's what you can expect, etc. You have your lead delivery option here. We'll let you download your leads, which is fine. But you're going to want to use a webhook, which is very, very easy to set up. You can do so inside of Zapier. That's my strong recommendation. Just do, Google Ads Zapier integration, and you'll see this come up pretty quickly. So that's the extension creation. You're going to deploy the extension just like you would any other extension inside of your campaigns. You've already applied, or, chosen what campaign to assign it to. It's, relatively from a settings perspective, pretty straightforward. It's just about getting the nuances right. And, some of those smaller decisions, you can see how they have really big impact. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, hit me in the comments. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, just go away. If you want to receive video updates regularly from us, hit the subscribe button. You'll be doing me a favor because I want to go live someday. And if you subscribe, I get to do that.